Good morning, everyone. On today's podcast, it's a lot more chill than usual. We have a few topics to discuss, including some updates on the Helldivers 2 fiasco currently happening on Steam, but also, I think we'll casually discuss a few other topics. For example, we had a little bit of a chat this morning in the stream chat about music use and rights and why I use the music that I use on my pre-streams and the like. I think it's a good time to maybe just open up discussion a little bit about that kind of stuff and tell you the experiences that I've had over the years. In addition, all of our usual fun here on today's episode of the Level 1 Podcast. Alrighty, everyone. Well, happy Saturday. Today is the 4th of May, 2024. What do you think about this background? You know, I used this color the other day and I thought it looked fine. Now today I'm using it and it looks really plain. Sometimes things look better in practice. I don't know what to use today. Well, alright, you know what? Go with blue. That's fine. Welcome to the show, everybody. And I hope you're feeling well. I hope your weekend so far is going well. Today's show is a much more relaxed show. And what I mean by that is there's not a lot going on besides that it's May 4th. May the 4th be with you for those of you out there who are fun Star Wars fans. We will be doing Star Wars content today. On the late stream, I'll be jumping back into the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection, which, as we know, is a pretty unfinished product, is pretty buggy and wonky, but it's hilarious fun. We just kind of mess around and don't really care that much about it, the seriousness of it or anything like that, and we end up having a really good time. So we're going to do that on the late stream tonight to celebrate May the 4th. Anyway, we are into the new week, and today is going to be a much more laid-back, chill day. Meaning, unlike yesterday, that was a super serious gameplay day of competitive Street Fighter and trying to survive in a very difficult game of Another Crab's Treasure. Today, we sit back and relax more. It's going to be Fallout 4, which I'm very excited for. The playthrough so far has been great. Idiot Savant Melee build has been much different than what I've done up to now. And you know, I want to personally say thank you to those of you who are watching the playthrough all along and leaving comments that are very productive. For example, someone explained to me something I didn't even know about the melee class. They're like, in Fallout 4, if you run with your left thumbstick, you're using your AP points. As you're running, just do a melee attack, and as you end your run, you'll do a charge attack. That's like a super-powered swing, and it does like double damage. Don't run, stop, and then turn on VATS. It actually completely kills the momentum and stops you from being able to get that charging bonus. And I was like, I had no clue. I never knew that at all. Now, I don't know if that's something new for Fallout 4 or previous Fallouts as well, but obviously, that's something I absolutely want to start implementing in my gameplay now. So, that's awesome. And people have been all along for this playthrough leaving comments to help me understand it better. And I really, really appreciate that. So thank you to those who have been doing that and helping me, get the gist of how the game is working. Okay. Oh, really? Iroquois Pliskin says Fallout 4 was the first to have sprint implemented properly like that. Cool. The other ones, they were just walking slowly, correct? Right. So that is excellent. Anyway, so yeah, I'm excited for Fallout 4. We're going to finish up the Kellogg quest, I believe we're on right now. We're tracking down Kellogg, and then we'll continue from there, maybe head east to Goodneighbor. Maybe we'll just explore the town we're in, because we haven't yet. You know, we'll look around for interesting stuff. It definitely should be a good time, as always, and I hope you'll stick around after today's podcast show to hang out with me in Fallout 4. And of course, like I said, tonight, Star Wars, that's going to be fun as well. So we have a cool and fun day ahead of us. All right? Before we even get to that, because what I'd like to do is just briefly recap what happened yesterday, and I actually have some updates regarding the crab playthrough and other stuff. I just want to make a quick comment that has absolutely nothing to do with gaming at all. It's just an aside observation of mine, okay? So today, you may notice, I'm wearing one of my new button-down shirts I've only worn this one once on stream before, and it was about a month ago that it was getting warmer, and I said, you know, I should really get a lot more of these shirts because I really liked wearing them last year, but I don't want them all to be tropical. So I'm going to go out and go to a few discount stores, secondhand stores, and buy some clothes on the cheap so I have stuff to wear over the summer. And so I did. And I don't know what it is with clothing, because this is just one of these pet peeve observations of mine that I've had over my lifetime. But why on earth can clothing companies not get sizing to be consistent? All right. And here's what I mean by that. As I went out to get shirts, all right, I would look in either the large or extra large section for shirts. And traditionally over my life, I've either been in large or an extra large. When I'm a little bit more slim, I'm a large. Whenever I kind of get a little bit more chubby, as you know, I used to be way more chubby, typically an extra large is the right size for me, okay? So as I'm going and buying these shirts, you know, when you're at a secondhand store, this is not a store that's a full-fledged retail store, full price or anything like that. We're talking these stores that kind of resell product that were unsold at those retail stores, or sometimes you go to a store where new or like new clothing is cleaned and dressed up, and you can buy it at a huge discount. And that's really where I shop. There's no reason for me to go to, say, a department store or a full-fledged clothing store and end up paying $50, $60, $70 for a shirt like this when I could go to the discount store and get it for $10. And it's the same shirt. It's brand new. Okay? So anyway, you know, as I was looking, what you got to do is go to the sized sections. They're not sorted by brand. They're sorted by size. And I would sift through the larges and the extra larges and go through all of them to look for nice shirts. And sometimes what I would really do is I would grab a bunch that I thought were nice, and then I would run them over to Kat and say, which ones of these do you like? And then we would kind of agree on 2 or 3 shirts, and maybe that's what I would get, you know? But the weirdest thing, and this is just true for all clothing I feel, and I've noticed this over my life, there's just no regular sizing. Like, large is supposed to mean something. It's supposed to mean a certain measurement of either centimeters or inches in the shirt. And I don't know what the measurement is. Is it across the chest? Is it around the arm? Is it around the side? Is it the neck? I don't know what the measurement is. But technically, it's supposed to have some kind of scientific measurement reasoning of why it's called a large or an extra large. But man, it doesn't seem like these companies give a crap. For example, there's some shirts that I bought and they're large. And I put them on and they fit absolutely nicely, snugly perfect. There's some shirts I bought that are larges that are just too small. And I'm like, why is this shirt so small when I have another large that's spacious, right? With extra large. Sometimes I buy an extra large and it fits perfectly. Okay, well, obviously I'm an extra large then. Doesn't make sense that some larges fit me. And then sometimes I buy an extra large and I feel like I'm wearing a blanket over my body. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is this? It's like I'm wearing a poncho. It's supposed to be a shirt. Why is it so large when I have other extra large shirts that are much smaller than it? Case in point, today, I'm just going to ask the audience. Let's see if they can figure this out. So this is a Carhartt shirt, which is a name brand, okay? What size shirt do you think I'm wearing today? Okay, I'm just going to put my arms out. You can see the sleeves are quite lengthy and large, all right? As you can see, the shirt is pretty spacious on me, okay? Pretty good fit. So what size shirt do you think this Carhartt shirt is today? I'm going to see what people say in chat. Let's see. Extra large, extra large, extra, extra large, small. Now, I think Ellipsian is being sarcastic. Extra, extra large, extra, extra, extra large. Looks large, but seems like a medium. Large, extra large, medium, large. Okay. The consensus there seemed to either be like an extra large or an extra, extra large. Well, first of all, I've never worn extra, extra large in my life, to make that clear. I've only either worn large or extra large, okay? This shirt is a large. A large. And look how big it is on me. I would almost say it's too big for me. Like, I bought a size too big. So if I'm going to buy this brand, I should have bought a medium, I guess, right? And I'm not complaining. I like it. It's comfy. It's a comfy shirt, right? There are shirts that I have that are larges that I cannot button properly. Like, I go to button them, and they're too tight, okay? Now, I like the shirts, but I obviously should have gotten an extra large. So what I do, if you notice some shirts I wear an undershirt under, that's usually why I'm doing that. Because even though I bought a shirt that was supposed to fit me, it's way too small. The brand runs small. And likewise, there's a couple shirts there that I bought that were extra large that I actually feel are too big. Like, man, they just feel like they're super big on me. So it's just a weird thing. Now, you want to know what this is even more prominent? Shoes. When you need to buy shoes, especially someone like me, I have very large feet. Okay, they're like ginormous, flopping, stupid, whatchamacallums, fin. I have like fins on my feet, like duck waddling, things. It's just ridiculous. Like giant clown shoes would fit me. So in my lifetime, and my feet have not grown since I was in my teens. They got huge when I was like, 16, 17, and they haven't changed in size since then. In my lifetime, I have worn shoes that were size 11, 11 and a half, 12, 12 and a half, and 13. So are you telling me when I put a shoe on my foot, it magically, my foot grows or shrinks several inches? Of course not. The shoes just aren't correct. They're supposed to be a measurement of size, but they're not. They just make it however the hell they want per their style, and then you have to F around trying to find ones that fit, Now, the thing is, typically up to now, if you're going to buy clothing and you go to the store, you sit there and you try it on. You'll grab a bunch of shirts, you'll grab a bunch of pants, you'll grab a bunch of shoes, you go to the dressing room. You'll try them on to see if they fit properly before you buy them and take them home. But increasingly, what we're seeing more and more is that people are ordering online. Let's be honest, since COVID, half the world went antisocial. They just sit at home all day doing everything from their homes and they just order. If that's the case, you're not going to have an opportunity to test anything, right? You're going to have to order it, see if it fits, and if it doesn't fit, somehow get it to be returned. My wife went through this recently. She's looking for a new pair of shoes and went to the store, and the store actually didn't even have anything that she liked. So she's like, well, I guess I'm going to have to order online, but you know how hit or miss that is. I'm not kidding you. She has ordered 4 of the same shoes. Each one in succession didn't fit right until finally she got the 4th one that we had to keep returning. So we order, doesn't fit, return, reorder, doesn't fit, return, reorder, doesn't fit, return. The 4th one kind of fits, but not really. So now she has to get like socks that are thicker to try to get the shoes to fit. It's like, what the hell is wrong with these companies? I know the size of my foot. Why doesn't it just fit? Anyway, this is just a pet peeve thing of me to get off my chest to start today's show. I figured if I'm not going to talk about it here, where am I going to talk about it? It's just a silly thing. Why don't clothing companies have consistency with their products? It would make things so much easier for the customer. And I almost feel like if there was consistency, people would know what to order and they would order more often. Because a lot of people probably look online, they're like, wow, that looks really nice, but man, I don't want to spend that amount of money if it ain't going to fit. Now I got to go through the trouble of returning it. That's dumb. Just have it all be consistent, right? 2 hot dogs may have said the dumbest comment I've ever heard in my life. You ordered the same size 4 times and were surprised it didn't fit. No, stupid. We ordered one size, didn't fit. Ordered another size, didn't fit. Ordered another size, didn't fit. Finally got a size that should have fit, but didn't still, and we're just going to keep it. Boy, you are thick. I think half the time the people who try to talk shit about me, they're just so dumb. They don't understand an intelligent conversation. Yeah, we ordered the same product 4 times, the same size. Of course we did. Also, when I wake up in the morning, I smash my head against the wall about 17 times till I start bleeding, just for fun. What are you, a fucking moron? What a dumb comment. Wow. Anyway, so that's a pet peeve of mine. Let's move on from that. Let's talk about yesterday's stuff. All right, so yesterday was a very competitive day when it comes to content creation. Let me tell you. First stream was another crab's treasure. And man, let me tell you something. The game is very fun, but again, it's challenging and it can get frustrating because of the way the game was designed. Or was it? I have an interesting follow-up because I want to tell you about my experience yesterday, but then I want to tell you about something that was explained to me overnight that I think we may actually be able to improve my experience with the game the next time that we play it on Monday. Okay? So, yesterday was a fun stream of Another Crab's Treasure because I last stream before had fought an optional super boss that was in this open world area that you're not supposed to fight yet. You're supposed to be under leveled for him. So I fought him and beat him. It took me like 40 minutes, but I beat him. And because I beat him, number one, I got a ton of levels. Like I got like 6, 7 levels that I could do. And in addition to that, I now have the ability to explore this giant open world area without being harassed by this guy. So it was like, wow, I have a big, fun adventure ahead of me. And so that's basically what I did. I explored this entire area. I got a bunch of upgrade items. I fought some rare enemies. I actually got some cool, unique shells, like a water pipe and a disco ball that were super duper durable. And I found some neat little things to do in the environment, some side questing. And I found the other 2 areas to go to. Basically, the area you're supposed to go to at the beginning is the far north. It's called the Grove, and that's where there's a whole dungeon, like a legacy dungeon in FromSoft, for example, with well-designed as bosses and things to do there. And then there's another one of those to the east, and it's called the Vale, but you're not supposed to do that till much later. So I basically went to the Vale, and I walked in there, and went to this first area, and there was a boss, and it's the actual guy who's the bodyguard of, like, I guess the final boss, and he was pretty tough, but I actually beat his first form, and he runs away. And you're like, oh, you don't actually fight him till later. I was like, oh, okay. So actually, you can fight him and beat him, but then, then it unlocks another dungeon. I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't do this dungeon before I do the other dungeon that was meant to be done first. So I ended up leaving that and backtracking back to the Grove, and I spent the rest of the stream doing the Grove. And it's fun, but I will just reiterate that there's a few things about the game that need polish. For example, the camera can be wonky and get stuck in places, and then you can't see where you are because the camera is weird that way. Also, there's really weird. The archer enemies in the Grove are super duper ridiculously accurate, and their arrows curve. So you'll be standing still. The archer will aim and fire, you'll sidestep, and the arrow will curve and hit you anyway. And you're like, what the hell? That's not fair. Homing arrows, right? And it's supposed to be the first major, like, dungeon. And I'm like, that's really, really weird, right? Anyway, so I get to the final boss of this Grove area, and sadly, this is where I realized the game is starting to fall apart a bit. So the game has all these mechanics. There's a stun mechanic where you fill up a stun bar. There's a mechanic where an enemy can frighten you, which means for a temporary amount of time, you cannot attack at all or heal. You can only dodge. And then there's a mechanic where if you fill up the enemy stun bar, they get knocked over, and you can do a capsize attack where they're on their back, and you can do like a down attack, and it does big damage, okay? So the problem is, even though all these systems work on their own, they don't actually work together. So allow me to explain. So I'm doing an attack that's filling up the enemy stun bar, this boss, and he's about to be stunned. He decides he wants to do a frightening attack. So he's frightening me, but I'm hitting him, but I'm in my animation, so my animation continues. Okay, he gets stunned, but now after he's stunned, I'm frightened, which makes no sense. I was attacking and stunning him, so my attack hit him, his attack hit me, but they didn't jive, right? So now he's on his back, and I can't do the down attack because I'm frightened. I'm in the frightened state. But then as he's getting up from his capsizing, my frightened state ends. I press the button, and my character jumps and does the down attack. He's not downed. So now I land on him and do the down attack when I shouldn't. He does a grabs me, and insta-kills me. And it's like, wait, what? And you're watching this, you're like, this is so weird. It's just a weird thing. There was another instance where I was on the edge of a ledge fighting an enemy. The enemy grabbed me and then clipped through the platform we were standing on for no good reason. We then plummeted to our deaths off of this platform way, way, way down and died. And the game actually gave me an achievement. You fell to your death. Because you're not supposed to be able to fall to your death in the game. Like, there's rare instances where it happens. And this was a glitch where the enemy put me in a grab animation and then phased through the platform and we both died. It's like, huh? So that's what I mean. Like, this game feels like it's a solid game. It's a fun adventure. And I really like the world design of it. But I feel like it needed more time to bake. Like, it's not fully cooked in all spots. You know what I'm saying? There's a few raw spots that I'm noticing the further and further I get in. I'm 9 hours into it now. And it does make me wonder if this game had a bigger development team, a bigger budget, and more time to be tested, how much better it could have been. Because right now, it's a fun game that just lacks polish, okay? Now, one of my biggest pet peeves about the game is that it emulates the FromSoft formula when it comes to movement and dodging. And what I mean by that is, let's say you want to dodge in another crab's treasure. Well, do you just press the dodge button and you dodge instantly? No. You have to press the dodge button in and then release the dodge button fast. And then you'll dodge. If you press it and hold it and release late, it will drop your input and you will not get a dodge at all. So essentially, you can never dodge on reaction because you're always delayed having to push and then release the button. I don't like that. FromSoft games do exactly the same thing. And I get it. That's their thing. That's their niche. Let's artificially increase the difficulty by making the controls have a slight delay, right? But this game didn't need it. This is not a FromSoft game. It's a Souls-like, but it doesn't necessarily need to have that same difficulty mechanic, okay? So I've been complaining about this the whole playthrough, saying, man, I would have done better against this boss or this instance if it just would dodge when I push the button. So come to find out, someone actually messaged me last night. And they're like, well, I don't know if you're aware of this, but people have actually been tweeting the game developer about this game since it came out. And it's actually, they agree with you on this. Like, they feel like it shouldn't have had that mechanic. The game would have been more fun without it. And the game developer has responded stating you could change it. Huh? Yeah, the game developer responded and said the only reason that they made it that it's a push and release dodge mechanic is because the B button is also run. So in order to run, you have to hold the button down. And they didn't want people who were trying to dodge to accidentally run, or people who were trying to run accidentally dodge. So they made it a hold mechanic and release to dodge. But you can remap your controller with an alternate control scheme and options to make run just click in the left thumbstick. And if you do that, then the dodge button becomes an instant dodge. In which case, now you can dodge everything on reaction. So why didn't they just do that by default? Right? Like, why not? If it's obviously they knew that control scheme was going to be better to put it in the game. So why didn't you just put it in the game by default? Because they wanted to copy Dark Souls. They wanted the game to feel like it was Dark Souls, so they literally copied their control scheme to make the game harder when it doesn't need to be. So I'll tell you right now, when we play this again on Monday, I'm remapping my controller to play like a game that I can actually respond to things on reaction, which is the whole intention of an action-based game. Because otherwise, it doesn't become about reaction. It becomes about memorization. And honestly, that's what a lot of FromSoft games are. It's not, oh, I'm just fighting a boss for the first time and I'm reacting to what they're doing, and because I have good hand-eye coordination, I beat it. It's, I have to fight this boss 18 times to memorize all of its attack patterns because I have to dodge early in order to actually get around them and not die instantly. And that's stupid. You know? So, I'm doing that on Monday. We'll see if it dramatically improves the quality of the gameplay or not. I think it will, honestly. To actually be able to dodge anything on reaction sounds damned good to me. So, let's see what happens on Monday when I change that control scheme. Okay? Now, last night was Friday Night Fights with Zangief, all ranked gameplay in Street Fighter 6. I'm going to be honest with all of you. It was incredibly frustrating. It was rage-inducing. I did not do so well, but yet I'm still gained ranking points. And this is actually what I feel is a huge shortcoming of the Street Fighter 6 rank system. To give you perspective, okay, I'm going to open up my stats now to let you know how I actually did, because I didn't do well. I'll tell you right now, I know I didn't do well. Last night, I played a grand total of 77 matches. 77, okay? Out of those, I won 29 and I lost 38. I only won 43% of the time. Why? Because literally every single Cammy plays a base pattern and destroys Zangief, and he can't do anything about it besides guess a perfect parry. That's literally it. It's the only thing I can do against Cammy is perfect parry. Everything else, he gets stuffed, he gets throw looped, and you can't do anything about it. He just can't fight her, okay? In addition, other characters like Luke or Ken, again, they're incredibly hard to fight against. So anytime I faced a top tier like that, I basically lost by default. Now, the funny part about that was the other characters I fought, like Blanca, Lily, Minot, you know, Jamie, anyone that's mid to low tier, even a Chun-Li that was good, I beat. I'm beating the characters that aren't insanely overpowered against Zangief. But the moment I face a top tier, it's over. Like, Zangief cannot hang against top tiers in this game. It doesn't matter how well you're playing. You know what I mean? Like, It's just it's too much against you. If you drop a single move, you lose. I mean, I'll give you an example. I'm doing a combo, and Zangief's combos are tricky to do. The timing is way more strict than one of these top tiers that just mash out buttons like a fucking idiot. He has to actually time everything perfectly. When you're online, you could literally be doing the combo perfectly, but because of the shitty rollback netcode, the game favors someone who mashes buttons over someone who times inputs, and the game will just say you didn't do it right, and then favor the opponent. So what people are actually doing now online, which I can't believe because I've never seen this before in a fighting game, but it's prominent in Street Fighter 6. When you're doing a combo against the opponent will begin to mash moves. Okay? So for example, if you're fighting Ken and you're doing a combo, they'll just start doing, I want to do OD Dragon Punch, and they'll just keep doing the input over and over and over like crazy. If you're facing a Zangief and you're comboing him, he'll just keep doing the level 3 super throw input repeatedly. Why do they do it? Because they're hoping the netcode will make you miss your combo or drop it in the middle, and then boom, they get a move that blows right through what you're doing. Now, there's no way to avoid the move because you're mid-combo input. So I'm doing hit, hit, hit. Oh, level 3 super on me. Wait, I'm comboing you, and the game rewarded you with a level 3 super. What the fuck? And that's how it is now playing Street Fighter 6. It's not fun to deal with that shit. The game shouldn't reward button mashers because the netcode is so poor. This rollback netcode looks good when you watch a match and plays like shit. I'm sorry, rollback netcode is fucking horrible. And it should be abolished and they should make something new. But everyone continuously kisses its ass because they're all fucking uneducated. They all just kiss each other's butts about it thinking it's so good. It's fucking not. It's trash. So, basically, I am having a rough time with Zangief. Now, you might say, man, dude, you lost a lot last night. You must have really dropped in your rank. No, I went up. Now, there's a combination of factors here. Factor number one is, when I fought these people, okay, online, basically, I beat a lot of 4 to 5 star people who were characters that I could beat. They were not Cammy. They were not Luke. They were just, 5-star Blanca, right? 4-star Minot. And I could beat them. So I was earning more points, all right, winning than I was losing points when I lost, because I was losing a lot to 2-star fucking Cammy, right? I just, so that's the thing. Now, the other thing is the game just overall gives you more points than you really lose as long as you keep playing, all right? And that's also one of the problems that I'm seeing in the game. You absolutely should not have more losses than wins, but still be going up in rank in this game in any circumstance whatsoever. Like, I would agree I should have been down ranked last night, but instead I went from high 3-star to about a 3rd into 4-star ranking with Zangief. Why? That doesn't even make sense, right? Unless there's a win streak bonus, but to my knowledge, there's not. That's only in lower rankings. So it doesn't make any sense that happened. And that's why we have so many people at master level who literally suck ass at the game. They're terrible fighting game players, but they literally just go ahead and do pattern, and they squeak out enough wins, they get to master anyway, even though they're not consistently winning at all. That is terrible. That's just not a good look for a fighting game. But again, here's the thing about the FGC. I'm sorry to say, they will massively overlook the shortcomings of a fighting game that's relatively new because they want their community to be hyped. All right? They will look at a game like Street Fighter V and literally for 2-3 years claim it's good when everyone actually knows the game is fucking piss water. And then, after multiple rebalances, multiple season passes, multiple, iterations of you having to spend more money to buy the better version of the game, after like 5 seasons of the fucking game, at the end of its life cycle, the FGC will be like, oh yeah, Street Fighter V really was never good. It's good that Street Fighter 6 is coming out. It's like, wait, what? So you literally lied for 5 years so people would be hype about this shit game. And it's the same thing here with Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 is way better than Street Fighter 5. I want to make that abundantly clear. The netcode, the gameplay mechanics. Actually, I would argue offline, this game is probably utterly superb. But this game online is piss. You cannot play this game competitively online at any capacity. This netcode allows for people to mash and win. It allows for people to mash out moves in between your combo and benefit. They can do super safe gameplay and you can't avoid it. You cannot react to shit online. You cannot from mid-screen jump a fireball online. What kind of a fighting game can you not jump over a fucking fireball? That's Street Fighter 6 online. But it looks pretty. Doesn't look like it's laggy. So it's good, right? No, it's bad. It's terrible. Why do I have a worse match when it says I'm at 15 milliseconds than when it says I'm at 40? Doesn't make any sense. That's the game. So, again, you will never hear this from people in the FGC. I'm not in the FGC. I have to say this publicly. I'm not in the FGC. I have no benefit from this game doing well and getting its butt kissed or by it completely failing. Either way, it doesn't matter to me. I play it. I enjoy it. If it doesn't work, I have a million other things to play. So I can be honest with you. The game is good. It's much better than Street Fighter V. I actually really enjoy playing it. But every time I play online, I feel like I want to smash myself in my ball sack with a 2x4 because that's the equivalent experience. It's a shit game online, and now when you have lower tier characters who you're trying to hang with, it's like torture. Like, oh my god, I'm torturing myself trying to use this tough character because the game is so bad online. Anyway, there is a rebalance coming on May 22nd. We don't know what's coming yet with that rebalance. Perhaps that will fix some things with the netcode. Perhaps that will actually do things with characters to make them more viable. But the way I see it, this is going to be a very, very long, painful climb to master with Zangief. In fact, I even said this last night on the stream. I don't even know if I'm going to get my Zangief to master before the rebalance patch because I'm only playing Street Fighter 6 twice a week. I've already played it once. I'm playing it again probably like Tuesday night. After that, I really don't know when I'm playing, twice a week. So if it's 4 hours a week, I only have like 2 more weeks. Can I realistically, in like 10 hours of gameplay, get Zangief to master when I'm having nights like last night, where it's just like 2 steps forward, 10 steps back, then 2 more steps forward? I don't know. I certainly would like to, but I just have no idea if I will. I'm going to try though, all right? But I'm just going to forewarn everyone. This is going to be a very stressful, rage-filled battle to get him to master. There may be nights where I get lucky and I'm not facing Cammy 700 times, but it seems like everyone at this rank is using Cammy. So I'm torturing myself to do it, but I want to do it. Like, I'm committing to do it, okay? So there you go. Today, as you already know, it's Fallout 4, and then it's going to be Star Wars Battlefront Collection tonight on the late stream, 6:45 p.m. Pacific time. Tomorrow, it's React Day. So tomorrow, it's going to be DSP versus the Internet, my weekly Clips React show on my DSP Reacts channel. And then on the late stream, it's going to be the next to last stream of Retro React, the Walking Dead Telltale game Season 1. We're going to be going through pretty much almost the entirety of Episode 4. We went through about a half an hour of it last time, but it's actually the longest episode in the game. I think it was something like 15 to 16 parts to record, and each part's 10 minutes long. If you do the math, it's roughly like 3 hours. So probably tomorrow night we'll get through most of it, and then probably the final stream will be the end of Episode 4 and Episode 5. Episode 5 is short. It's only like 90 minutes. So that's great, but now what we have to do is figure out what's the next Retro React we want to do, right? We have 2 weeks to figure it out. So what do you guys think? Let's start brainstorming. What should be the next Retro React? Maybe if we get a few games hammered in as candidates, then maybe what we can do is a poll on the Throwback channel of what should be the next one, have people vote and determine, Well, you said F1 Maddie says LA Noire. Sadly, we can't do LA Noire. LA Noire needs to be re-uploaded to watch and needs to be edited for music. And that's going to begin with my editors as soon as Final Fantasy 13 finishes. But in order for us to react to LA Noire, I have to actually have the videos on the internet, which I don't. So that has to wait. Like, maybe we could do that later in the year, but we cannot do a react to that yet until the videos are live. And that's the next project that my editors are working on. Okay? So, yeah, let's see how that goes, but let me know. Give me your candidates for games you'd like to see me do my next react to. Some people have said, why don't you do The Wolf Among Us? And I'm like, I would probably like to do a Wolf Among Us. I don't really remember the game that well, and everyone loved the game when it came out. The problem with that is we literally just did Heavy Rain. We tried Bully, it didn't work. Now we're doing The Walking Dead. Do you really want to do another narrative-based game? I mean, that's a lot of narrative-based game reacting. If you guys really wanted that, fine, but I don't know. You guys really want that, let me know. So anyway, let's brainstorm over this week. We definitely need to brainstorm and figure it out and then get a poll going over there. So let's think about it so I can do a poll by next week, okay? So then Monday, the daytime stream will be Another Crab's Treasure, and it is official. There will not be a Monday night stream. I do have to do the private patron react videos for the month, and I have to do some behind-the-scenes stuff for the business on Monday night, you know, bill stuff and shit like that. So I figure we'll just do it all Monday night, get it all done, so there will be no Monday night stream. But then Tuesday will be the continuation of Fallout 4, and then Tuesday night will probably be either Street Fighter 6 or Helldivers 2, depending on which you want that night. And then Wednesday will either be Fallout 4 or Another Crab's Treasure, really whatever you guys want. And then Wednesday night will either be, Helldivers or Street Fighter, whatever we didn't do on Tuesday. And that's the week. Now, FYI, next week, there's a new game coming out on Game Pass called Little Kitty Big City. And this game seems to be a cute game, but also in the vein of, say, Untitled Goose Game, where you're a cat that's kind of doing puzzles and surviving in a city, but also you're kind of harassing humans and doing funny antics. I kind of want to give it a shot and see if it works for like a late night chill stream. So likely we'll see that at some point next week on a night stream, okay? Just so you guys know. All right, so that's what we got going on right now. And I think what we should do, what I want to do, number one, we only have like one follow-up news story that I want to talk about. I think there's 2 news stories today. We'll get through them quick. And then I want to talk a little bit about music and the music that I use on my streams and why I use it and music use over the years on YouTube and how it's changed. Because some people actually had some really valid questions today on the pre-stream in the chat. And I think this is something that we should publicly talk about since it had some intelligent discussion around it. Okay? Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a very abridged version of DSP News. We have 2 quick stories to cover today. The first being a pretty weird one that I never thought that I would talk about, but here we are. Nintendo World Championships NES Edition for the Switch has been rated by the ESRB, but based on the title's description, it appears it is an entirely new game rather than a re-release of the 1990 NES cartridge. Does anyone know what the Nintendo World Championships are? You probably don't if you haven't been around the block. I remember the Nintendo World Championships, okay? In 1990, Nintendo held a large-scale tournament across the world in various different major metropolitan locations. And what it was they had a special game cartridge made, all right? If I remember correctly, I think the real cartridges were the regular gray format, but they had ones that were gold as well that were shown off and showcased at the tournaments. And what this game cartridge was a special challenge run of 3 different games. Outrun was the first one, I believe. Is that what it was? And then it was Tetris, and then it was Super Mario Brothers. Okay? So what would happen is it would start up, and you'd have to play one of the games. And you'd have to do a challenge. So I think in Tetris it was get a certain score. Once you hit that score, it then auto changes the game over to the next game. So imagine you're playing Tetris, you hit a score, all of a sudden you're playing Outrun. You're like, oh shit, what? So now you're driving the car, and you have to drive a certain distance and try to beat that score. And once you get to that, you get to the final challenge, which is Super Mario Brothers 1, and you have to get a certain amount of coins. And then you've won. And basically what it does is it's timing you. Whoever can get through all those the fastest is, the champion. And so they did this worldwide tournament where all these kids were playing and teenagers were playing, trying to get the best score. But the real reason that the game became kind of part of gaming lore is that, excuse me, the cartridges that had these special versions of the games on them became rare collector's items. Because, I mean, let's be honest, after the tournament, who cares about that cartridge ever again? But it's so rare. They didn't make a lot of them. So I think what it is like the standard cartridge that's gray, that's really original issue, is worth a certain amount. But the gold cartridges are like super duper rare and worth like thousands and thousands of dollars if you can get them in pristine condition. So they became kind of a crazy collector's item. And actually, at the time that I was traveling playing Street Fighter, Jason Wilson, an OG in the Street Fighter community, who's a tournament organizer and a top player, was running Midwest Championships and had one of these cartridges. And he actually had us play it as part of a Mystery Games tournament for the finale. And I can't remember if that was the year I won. I won it one year, and I can't remember if that was the year I won or if it was a different year and I came in like second or third that year. I can't remember. But it was fun. It's fun to do random stuff like that. You know, I really enjoyed it. Anyway, the reason I'm telling you this, apparently there's a new version of Nintendo World Championships that's been made exclusively for the Switch, but it's not the same. Like, they made a new one so that people can compete and see who has the best score in other random games. That's interesting. Now, how interesting? I guess it depends on what's in it. Like, let's say there's like 5 different runs that you can do. Now, these runs are not meant to last a long time. Like, they're meant to last less than 10 minutes. But if you become competitive at it and you're trying to get the best score, the best time, then it could become pretty interesting to see you ranked on like a worldwide leaderboard online, like who's the best at this or whatever, right? Could it actually be done as like a physical tournament where people actually run tournaments for the game? Yes, they could. So that's kind of neat. I'm curious if we'll get more information about it soon, because if it's already been rated by the ESRB, that means it's pretty much ready for sale. But it's weird Nintendo has not mentioned it at all, right? We've heard nothing about this in any Nintendo Direct or anything. It just exists. It's like, whoa, that's weird. All right, I guess we'll find out, hopefully sooner rather than later, about this and what it really is, okay? But that's just a quick story. The story I really want to cover today is a follow-up to the Helldivers 2 fiasco we talked about yesterday. For those who don't know, here's what's going on with Helldivers 2. On console, PlayStation, nothing. It's fine. But on PC, this game has been on sale since what? Either late January, early February. I forget when it started getting listed on Steam. And at the time, you would buy the game, and it, in a very, very small little area of its listing on Steam, it mentioned that you're going to need a PlayStation Network account in order to play the game. But it was never actually implemented. You could buy the game, download it, play it online, and you never needed this account. So it seemed like maybe it was a typo, maybe it was not required, maybe it was there was just something intended and they never implemented it. It's whatever. All of a sudden, 2 days ago, it was announced publicly, you will now need a PlayStation Network account to continue to play Helldivers 2 on PC. That new players will need one as of May 6th, and old players will have to make one by June 5th. And if you don't have one, a PlayStation Network account linked to your game, you cannot play the game ever. You're locked out. It's a requirement to log into your PlayStation Network account to play it moving forward. So there's 2 major problems with this. Number one, it's kind of a bait and switch, right? Helldivers 2 is one of the most popular multiplayer games in years. It sold ridiculous amounts of copies, has a ridiculously high player base playing it on PC at all times, and it's kind of like a darling game. It's one of the biggest, most positively reviewed games of the year. Why now, all of a sudden, several months later, implement this requirement? It's obvious it doesn't really do anything to have it. Well, Sony claims the reason we're doing this is because this will ensure that everyone in the community is in a safe environment. Because if to be a part of PlayStation Network, you have to adhere by our rules of conduct, whether it comes to you can't say certain things, you can't behave in a certain way, you know, griefing, cheating, hacking, online harassment, racism, sexism, and talking over the voice chat. Things like that are not allowed if you're part of PlayStation Network. So if people do that stuff, they can basically cancel your account and you can't play the game anymore, right? But the game's been running for 3 months and I don't hear any stories at all about rampant issues in that regard. Have you heard about the infamous Helldivers 2 cheater who goes around hacking and flying through the universe? You know what I mean? No. Do you hear about insane, bad online communities of harassment and sexism and racism? No. It doesn't exist. So their reasoning is bullshit. It doesn't make sense that that's the reason why they need it, but that's what they're claiming. Okay? So, of course, a lot of people looking into it are like, nah, we know why. Because this is a hot game. And now that it's a hot game, they want to boost their statistics. They want to say, oh, look, we have this many people on the PlayStation Network. And they know they're going to get like 1 million extra people if they require this for Helldivers 2, right? And you might say, well, why did they not initially require this back in February? Supposedly, it was a requirement, but because if you remember when the game launched in February, it was shockingly popular. They were not ready for that. They didn't have server capacity to handle the amount of demand. So supposedly this was one of the many things that they did to cut corners and disable so more people could play. because they didn't want to disappoint the customer base. Well, now they're like, okay, now it's calmed down. Now we can implement it, and people are freaking out about this, right? So we get to the second half of the argument. So why are people freaking this out about it, right? Because a lot of people are claiming that, number one, where they live, you can't get a PlayStation Network account. Tens of thousands of customers are complaining about this, saying, no, I live in a country where PSN, it doesn't work. Yet now you're telling me I can't play Helldivers and I paid for it. Oh, by the way, I can't get a Steam refund anymore because I played more than 2 hours. This is unreal. It's not fair. You know, essentially, a lot of people are saying it's illegal. Like, we might sue you in a class action lawsuit. That's one thing. The other thing is, a lot of people just don't trust Sony. Okay? They're like, Sony has had data breach after data breach over the years, and I just don't want my data to be a part of that risk. I'm a PC gamer. I don't need to have a Sony account. This is ridiculous. All right? Now, some people already in chat, VPNs don't work with PlayStation Network. PlayStation Network detects a VPN in use and bans your account. So VPNs are not a solution. There basically is no solution to the problem. So why am I talking about this today? 2 reasons. Number one, in the last 48 hours, Helldivers 2 went from 99.9% positive reviews to having 85,000 negative reviews and climbing. In fact, as of this morning, may have even more negative reviews on Steam, and it's just increasing exponentially every moment that they allow this requirement to continue. Does that mean that people will not play or buy Helldivers moving forward? I don't know, but that's pretty bad. What's weird about this is public opinion completely flipping on a game that was the indie darling. Everyone loved Helldivers 2. And now people are like, no, this is an evil game. Evil Sony. It's like, wow. A lot of people are even saying this is why these companies should not rely on major partnerships with exclusive game developers, because then they can enforce stuff on your game. And your game is great, but now your game will suffer because the person who's really in charge pulls the strings and makes you do something stupid you didn't want, right? That's pretty bad. Now, the other thing, and this is, I will admit, this is pretty bad. All right? Sony has online stuff listed on, like, their facts and things for, like, PlayStation Network and stuff like that. And people looked up in their online facts, you know, basically using Rollback machine and shit like that, before May 3rd, which was yesterday when they announced this requirement. Basically, a statement read just like this. Do I have to sign into the PlayStation Network to play a PlayStation game on PC? Signing into PlayStation Network is optional when playing a PlayStation game on PC. Then yesterday, they changed it to say this. Do I have to sign into PlayStation Network to play a PlayStation game on PC? Some PlayStation games may require you to sign in and link to an account for PlayStation Network. They changed the wording on their documentation after the fact of the requirement being added. That's not good. That is a smoking gun that this was a messed up decision that should never happen. They never, it was never going to be a mandatory thing, and they're probably doing it for personal gain rather than as a real requirement, you see? Now, I'm going to give you a personal example of this, a time this happened to me, and the community was in uproar, and then no one cared. You ready? Before Evo existed, there was a tournament called the B Series, and it was a major West Coast tournament held by, of all people, the Cannon Brothers, along with prominent West Coast players like John Choi, Alex Valle, and many others, okay? Mr. Wizard was part of that group, okay? So they would always hold this major tournament in California, and they would claim this was the biggest Street Fighter event of the year, but everyone was like, no, it's really not. You're just saying that because it's on your coast or whatever, okay? So one year, B5, the 5th one that they ever did, all East Coast players decided to fly out to this tournament. I went with fellow people from Connecticut to play Marvel vs. Capcom 1, and this was actually the first year ever Justin Wong had just become a prominent player in the fighting game community, basically the best player on the East Coast in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and basically people teamed up to fly him out so that he could play in this tournament to see if he could win. because he would be facing the best on the West Coast. So it's basically East versus West. That was the whole idea of the tournament at B5. Okay? So we all go, we pay our entry fees, we play in the tournament. A lot of corruption. A lot of messed up things happened at this tournament. I've talked about it over the years. I don't need to mention it all. I'm going to mention one thing that has nothing to do with me, but this is what is pertinent to our story today about Helldivers. So Justin Wong wins, and everyone freaks out. The West Coast is all deflated because Justin beat them. We're ecstatic. We're celebrating. All the East Coast players are partying, going crazy, right? Justin goes to get his payout for first place, and they hand him money, and he walks, and he goes to count it. Now, he basically, for him, back then, this was before he was with any part of a gaming team or anything like that, and a guy that used to look out for a lot of East Coast players, his name is Henry Sen. Shout out to Henry if you're still out there. You're always a great guy in the East Coast community, and he was always looking out for players in their best interests. So, Henry Sen's sitting there with Justin. Justin's a teenager, right? He's not even an adult yet. And Henry's counting his money, and he goes, there's something wrong here. This is way less than what you should have won. Here's the amount of people who entered the tournament. Here's the entry fee. Here's the percent that they said first place would win. This is like 20 to 30% less than what was promised. Okay? So Henry Sen takes the money. He says, I'm going to handle this for you, Justin. And he goes up and he gets into a big verbal argument with the Cannon brothers and John Choi. All right? And he's yelling at them. He's like, you're cheating a kid. This kid came out here, he beat your best players, and you're literally ripping this kid off. And one of the Cannon brothers, I don't know which one it was, got into a big argument with Henry Sen saying, it's on the website. It's on the website. Go to the B5 website. It says right on there that we're keeping a cut of the proceeds of the tournament as organizers' fees to pay for the venue. And Henry's like, that's not on the website. We know it's not. But they insisted it was. Okay? So here's what happens. Basically, Justin goes home with less money, and there's nothing that can be done about it at all, okay? And overnight, the Cannons go on their website, the B5 website, and they add a line of dialogue that was not there before, okay? And it says, this tournament will keep like 30% of proceeds to run it. It wasn't there before. So they literally ripped everybody off. Now, at first, people didn't realize it and said, I guess, oh, you benefit of the doubt. It's there now, so it must have been there all along. No, people use things like, of course, I don't know if it was called Wayback Machine, but they actually proved that the Cannons overnight at the end of the tournament, when it ended, went and added that line to protect themselves and basically were completely dishonest about it. All right? This is literally what Sony has just done. They added a line. They changed the line to say, oh, no, look, see, it's there. The requirement's there, so you can't complain. What are you talking about? It wasn't there. You changed it to change the narrative to make you look innocent. Okay? Now, do you think that's messed up? Because here's what happened with B5. Nothing. It was announced that the Cannon brothers would then be running EVO next year. The national tournament, they called it. They ran it. Everyone went. And they had an EVO series that was very popular for many years, and now they sold EVO to Sony, and it continues. So literally, despite the fact that there's proven corruption, scamming, cheating of money, Cannon stayed in power and were able to keep running EVO, and no one basically had the power to stop them, and they just kept going. So I will predict that despite the fact that Sony is being called out and exposed for being completely dishonest, ultimately no one will be able to do anything about it, and Helldivers 2 may or may not continue to be successful, but Sony will go on their merry way and nothing will ever happen. At least from my personal experience, I don't think that these kind of things sadly get to anything of positive change. They should. Like, I feel like Helldivers players should get together and find a way to stick it to Sony. But I don't know how they could. The way I see it is, if you bought Helldivers 2, right, and you now can no longer play it, you essentially are ripped off of a product that you paid for. You should have restitution, whether you get a refund or they sue them in a class action lawsuit and say, this is bullshit. We deserve restitution. We can't play a product we paid for, right? But ultimately, history tells a different story. The people who are in power always get away with this kind of behavior. And with Sony, They're a major game publisher. They're a major game developer. They're a major console manufacturer. Do you really think that this small little blight on their record is going to change? No, people are going to just keep buying stuff from them. It's not going to change attitudes overall. The Cannons were the biggest people in Street Fighter in the United States because they were rich. So they could finance big tournaments, and people just kept going to their tournaments despite the fact that there was documented corruption at their tournaments. Nobody cared. They just kept going anyway. Oh, well, I did too. I'm guilty of it. I'm a moron. I went to Evo a few times too. I'm just as stupid as everybody else. It was like either you concede and you go to Evo, or you're just missing out on the biggest competitive event of the year for Street Fighter, even though you don't like the people running it because you think that they're corrupt. It doesn't matter, right? So the way I see it, nothing will come of this. Even though there should be positive change, I don't think anything will come of this situation. This will be a story for a couple weeks, and then either people will make a PSN account and continue to play the game, or they won't. And I don't think there's going to be anything that's ever going to really, change. Sony will still do these kind of underhanded practices. You know what I mean? There you go. All right, I have one more topic to talk about today, and it's not gaming news. All right? The topic I have to talk about today is the music that I use on my streams and why I use it. Okay? Every single day, when I turn on my streams, I play some music. It's always remixed music made from my own playthroughs using my own voice. Okay? Classics, such as songs from Ghost Drone, Thugs on the Floor, right? From my original Mass Effect playthrough, or Going Back in Time from my Singularity playthrough. Rock remixes, like the Dark Souls song, or what was the other one? There's two of them. Oh, the Motorstorm song, right? Those are absolutely amazing. More hip-hop beats from over the years, club-sounding beats from over the years, right? But the most recent one is a death metal song remixing my voice as I sang during the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Revolution Shippuden Conquest of Ages Super Turbo, or whatever the fuck it was called. Turning it into like a metal song of me singing how bad the game was in the credits, right? So basically, there's 30 to 40 different songs, all right, that have been made by viewers and fans over my 15-year run on YouTube. And I use these as the music on my pre-streams. You might say, well, why do you use it? Because it's me. It's my voice. It's my likeness being used. And therefore, because it's not someone else, it's me, I will never get any kind of an issue with content ID matching, claiming, muting my streams or videos. Okay? That's literally the reason I use it. Most other content creators don't have 50 remix songs made of them over the years that they can use in their own content that's safe to use. I'm just lucky. I've been around so long, I have that. Okay? So, you might say, well, that's kind of cool, right? But it would be nice, Phil, if you could have other music. There's a lot of royalty-free, supposedly copyright-free music on YouTube that a lot of people use in their content, right? So why don't you use some of that? Why don't you use some of these lo-fi beats? Why don't you use this kind of background instrumental music and stuff like that, right? There's a pretty good reason for it. I'll tell you the two different reasons. Number one, just because something claims it's royalty-free or license-free or copyright-free doesn't mean YouTube cares. You could very well have a song that says you can use it in all of your content. It's fine. And then you put it in your content, and your content will still get content ID matched and claimed, and you will lose the ability to monetize said content. And that has happened to me before over the years, where supposedly I was supposed to be able to use a song, and I used it, and then I still got claimed, and now an entire thing, whether it's a video or an entire stream, you can't monetize, right? Well, this is my job. I need to be able to monetize my own content. A video here or there every once in a while is not a big deal, but if I'm running this kind of music on my pre-streams and every single live stream I do every day gets demonetized because of it, that's going to be a huge issue, okay? So that's one of the reasons, even though it may be safe to use, because fair use says, hey, if this is license-free or whatever, you could still use it, you will still get slapped with content ID on YouTube. That's really stupid. Number two, and this is another huge reason why, because on YouTube, things tend to change over time. I'm going to give you a perfect example of this, okay? There was a time where I was under partnership networks on YouTube. It wasn't just me monetizing my own content with ads. It was other third-party companies. At one point, it was Machinima for a very long time, and then it was Curse Network for about a year and a half, and then I went solo. During those years that I was with each of those networks, they offered a bunch of resources. And one of the resources they offered was a third-party website that you could go to, and you could find music you're allowed to use as long as you're part of that partnership network, right? So, oh, cool. Well, I like to do edited game reviews. You know, I have an idea. I'm going to do a whole channel called KO Gaming, where I'm going to do edited content for a whole year, and I need music to use in those videos. So let me go ahead and do that, right? Cool. So I go to the site, I download the tracks, I put them in the videos, everything's good. Well, guess what? Things change over time. And what happens is I'm not part of that network anymore. Oops, that network doesn't even exist anymore. They went bankrupt and all their assets have been liquidated. So guess what happens? All the content that I made using their music now gets claimed on YouTube. So I'm not kidding you. Listen to this. This is absolutely truthful. All of the videos that I made on KO Gaming that used music are now someone else's property. I'm going to state that again. All that work that I put into KO Gaming, that year of my life where I made all that edited content, a video that had over 1 million views, other videos with tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of views, videos that were a lot of blood, sweat, and tears for me, and would have continued to be profitable for me if I kept making it, except YouTube demonetized everything in 2017, and that's a whole other issue. But anyway, all of those videos today, I have no rights to, because I had music in the videos owned by someone else that at the time I had the rights to use, but over time, the rights reverted. And now they've claimed those videos, and anyone who watches them, they get paid, not me. Now, I'm not going to say it's every single video, but it's most. Like, I use that music in almost every video that I was using over there on that channel. So, there you go. So, when it comes to using music, you've got to be incredibly careful about what you use on YouTube, because at any moment, something can change. Rights can change hands, and then someone tries to sue someone else. Someone tries to do this or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And, basically, that's the problem. So, a lot of people say to me, Phil, will you ever have new music on your pre-streams? Well, yeah, every once in a while, someone makes a fan remix of my voice to some kind of a beat or song, and I use it. But for the most part, we're going to continue to go ahead and just use the same music. If someone wants to make new remixes for my streams or whatever, great. I'm more than happy to use my own stuff, because I'm not going to get claimed for myself, right? But outside of the realm of that, yeah, it's just not worth the risk. I understand people would like some lo-fi beats listening to the pre-stream before I start my podcast, or you'd like some different stuff playing in between. Me too. But is it worth it for me to then, boom, lose all rights to monetize my own content? Of course it's not. And that's how YouTube plays the game. I mean, do you really think that any content creator who used to be with a partner network ever thought, oh, down the line, now all my content, I'll lose the rights to it? No, we didn't think about that. You know, lucky for me, right? I'm such a prolific content creator. I've continued to work my ass off 15 years straight. So even though years of content are demonetized and I can't make money on it, I continue to make content that makes money. So I'm still afloat. But imagine someone who only makes a video a month, and now years of their content is demonetized. They can't make money on it anymore. I mean, what the fuck? How fucked up is that, right? So there you go. And by the way, that's what's happened to a lot of YouTubers from back in the day. YouTubers who don't make content like me, but instead just made one video. Despite the fact that they were getting millions of views on their videos, over the years, their content just got demonetized for various reasons, and they make nothing on their own content anymore. That's why they're stuck in this endless loop of having to make new content, despite the fact they would like to retire. They can't. You know, that's one of the lucky things about me, for sure, that I never really thought about, but because I was such a prolific content creator, you could take away the rights to 60% of my content and I still make a living. That's cool, you know? Okay. Anyway, there you go. Yeah, that's what's going on. So, All right. That's all the topics that I had to talk about today. All right. Let us now get into shout outs, shall we? Cool. What are you talking about? When I say demonetized, I mean I can't make money on it, but someone else is making money on it. I don't mean that no one can make money on it, because people are confused in the chat. Basically, if I have no rights to monetize a video that has someone else's music in it. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying no one has the rights to make money on it. Anyway, all right, let's get the shout-outs for today. We start off today with a 10-member bomb dropped by Lucky Gremlin. Thank you, Lucky Gremlin. So, shout out to Master Meatball, 2 Hot Dogs, Mint, Clam Cut Tie, My Ruin, Fantastic Max, Serrata Etienne, and Maze Lord, and for some reason, the other 2 cut off. So, I don't know who the final 2 people were. Whoever you were, congrats. Be sure to thank Lucky Gremlin. Thank you, Lucky Gremlin, for supporting the channel this morning with those memberships. And then Maximum Turbo popped their 2-month re-upping of their membership and says, Helldivers devs hijacked by the automatons. Exactly. The Sony automatons have taken over. This is awful. There you go. So thank you. That's the YouTube side of stuff so far this morning. Hold on a second here. We're going to get to tips. I just need to refresh. Shout out to Pausen. 27 members as a supporter. Thank you so much. Oh, man, I just realized. So what's today? May 4th? May the 4th be with you again. We are coming up to some people's 3-year anniversary. It's been almost 3 years since I completely abandoned Twitch and came over here full-time to be a streamer. And, I mean, I've loved the 3 years I've been here. There's definitely some shortcomings and fallbacks, but at the same time, I'm having a great time having my community here. Yeah, some of you are going to hit your 3-year anniversary. So you guys, very soon, you're going to see some people with their diamond crowns in the chat for the very first time, which will be pretty neat. It's a really cool, little badge there that you get for 3 years as a member. So thank you to those who are. I'm sure some people are going to hit that anniversary soon. Cool. In the tip side of things, let's start here. I received a $5.40 tip from Snoutfoot, who says, May the 4th be with you. Thank you to Snoutfoot. Nice Star Wars reference. And I appreciate the first tip of the day coming in. Thank you, thank you. By the way, that's literally what I look like when I'm playing with Zangief. I'm that heated trying to get wins with that character who sucks. That's a pretty accurate representation of my face when I fucking play with him and a combo drops. There you go. Thank you, Snoutfoot. Let's see here. I received a $1.50 tip from someone who says, I don't play Street Fighter 6 as much. As someone who played a lot of Guilty Gear online, Rollback significantly improves Strive. Might be because of a smaller player pool. I've never had a lot of dropped inputs like you seem to get. Yeah, and the thing is with Rollback Netcode, you drop more inputs the lower millisecond connection you have. Because since there's lower delay, there's less time to read what you're doing. So the predictive netcode predicts incorrectly a lot and drops your input to account for it. So if you're playing a match that says 15 milliseconds with Rollback Netcode, the match will look smoother, but you will have significantly more dropped inputs than if you're playing a match that says 40 milliseconds, which would look not as smooth, but you actually get your moves more accurately. I know that sounds stupid, but that's literally how Rollback Netcode works. The better connection, the more dropped inputs, so that the game can just make it look like it's real time when it's really not. It's just guessing. Pretty sad. The thing is, I've heard some pretty big horror stories about other fighting games and their netcode. So if you have never had Rollback Netcode and you go from old delay base that had a lot of issues and then you go to Rollback, you'd be like, oh, I think it's much better. And I understand that. But as someone who's been around the block and played a ridiculous amount of fighting games in my life, I don't like Rollback Netcode either. I don't think this is the solution. And that's the problem. The community should be looking for constant improvement. And instead, the community, the FGC, has become insanely complacent with just having Rollback Netcode and everything, despite the fact that it has issues that they won't address, just like Street Fighter V. It's literally the same situation. Well, this is all we have, so we just have to accept that it's great and praise the shit out of it instead of rightfully calling out its shortcomings and wanting improvements. Just say it's great. So that's what they did with Street Fighter V for 5 fucking years. Then they admitted that it was bad. So if someone came out with a new netcode today that was a little better than Rollback, Rollback would be awful. They'd all admit it's terrible. But since we have nothing new, we all have to claim it's great. That's how they are. They're just this weird community of just butt kissers, and they just all go along with everything. That's how they've always been. It was the same thing back in the day with SRK and Evo. Everyone has to kiss their butt because they want to, we want to be in the good graces of those in charge. Like, you guys are fucking losers. You butt kiss everyone for what? For fucking what? It's a fucking video game, dude. Just be honest. Who cares? They won't. Anyway. Let's see here. I received a $1.50 tip from someone pretending to be 1 Minute Man, but is not. So fake 1 Minute Man tipped $1.50 and says, would you ever do IRL streaming? Doesn't have to be something big. Costco, the dump, a restaurant. No. IRL streaming is nothing but asking for trouble for you and the people around you. Right? Take a look at Ice Poseidon. And everywhere he goes, he ends up getting harassed. Right? You don't do that. That's really fucking stupid. Now listen, you want to make a video, perhaps, that's not intrusive to people around you because there's not a live audience trying to fuck with you. That's a little different, I feel. For me, I don't want you guys to see anything that I'm doing in my private life. It's none of your fucking business. If I want to come here on my podcast and say, oh, Phil's day off. Yeah, we went to Costco and we stocked up on this and this and that. That's fine. I don't have to show you detailed video footage of it, right? I don't have to show you where I live, what I'm doing all day, where I go. That's just asking for trouble from a bunch of nut jobs on the fucking internet. All right? And that's why I don't go that far. Okay? So I have made this distinctive divide between my private life and my public life. You should respect that. A lot of people do not, let's be honest. They think that everything should be public because I'm on the internet as a streamer. That's completely false. I have the right to choose parts of my life that I want to make public and parts that I want to keep private, and you should respect that. You should not try to delve into private things that have nothing to do with you and are none of your business, but yet people still do. That's life. People are nuts, and you got to deal with that when you're a public persona, but that's why I don't do it. It's just too much risk, and really, I don't care about the reward. Even if it would blow me up as a popular guy, I don't give a fuck. The risk is not worth it. Okay. Let's see here. I received a $2 tip from Wingo. I'm looking for new teammates. Any chance you play Rainbow Six? I can show you the ropes. No, Wings. It's not Wings. It's obviously, again, there must be someone trying to impersonate different people. Thanks for the $2 tip. You know, Rainbow Six Siege, I never really got into regardless. Like, I actually got it at launch. And I played it. It was awful. It was broken and atrociously bad at launch. It took them, what, like a year to actually rebalance, redesign, and fix the game to make it good. And then people liked it, and it caught on. I know that's one of the games that Wings of Redemption played for a while, right? I just never cared about it. Never really got into it, never really gave a shit, and I still don't to this day. Like, I have no desire to go try it. So, okay. By the way, the other night when I was playing Elden Ring, was Wings of Redemption actually live streaming and watching me? Because that was funny. You were like, he was. And then he literally quit, like, watching me. And then I beat her. He quit, like, 5 minutes before I beat her. Like, what? Why could he should have just stuck around for, like, 5 more minutes. Like, you guys do when I finish my streams. He left, and then I won. So he basically saw, you know, the grind to figure out the fucking pattern. And then he fucking left and missed the ending, the grand finale. He was making snide remarks about me. Very good. Very good. I'm glad to hear that. He passed out. He passed out. What? Big Boss did a super chat. He says, I found out about your channel. A guy at my gym had your Dark Souls hoodie. You still have a merch store. I had a Dark Souls hoodie? I did? Does anyone remember this? A Dark Souls hoodie? I don't remember that. I believe you, but I don't remember that. Skill Scholar says I have the same hoodie. What is it? What is this hoodie? What was on the hoodie that branded it to be me? Because I don't remember that at all. By the way, 672 says, No Wings was not making snide remarks. He says, you're a good Dark Souls player, better than people give you credit for. There you go. I don't remember it. I literally don't remember it. I mean, you got to understand something. I had 2 merch stores in my career. The first merch store was Cafe Press. I opened that one way back when, at the beginning of my YouTube career, when I was basically like the underdog of YouTube. And it was a lot of like Street Fighter merch. Like there were artwork of like Street Fighter characters with our names on it and shit. It was pretty silly. And then it was like the DSP logo, the old King of Hate logos and stuff like that. That was on that merch. And stuff like that. And that was probably in existence for like 3-4 years. And then basically I just stopped caring about it. Like no one bought anything from it. So I basically just kind of stopped caring about it and never mentioned it. And then I found out years later it was still open, so I closed it because I didn't even realize it was still open. I was like, oh shit. So then I started, when I became a full-time live streamer in 2017, Teespring, which is what they were called at that point, reached out to me. I did not contact them. They actually reached out to me saying they knew who I was as a streamer. They knew that I was prominent, had a following, and they thought that a merch store would benefit me. And they actually opened the store for me and designed the merch. Now, the first merch sucked. It was like a bunch of arrows, like fighting games, right? I think it was like I'm pressing buttons, and it was a bunch of arrows and buttons to make it look like, you know, like I'm making fun of a fighting game or something like that. You know, it was basic stuff. But then what happened was a lot of people designed awesome stuff for me over the years. Now, I remember a few different designs, but not a lot. And you know what's really funny about all that? So over the years, people would, like, of course, my detractors and shit would be like, oh, so Phil, he's a jerk because he never pays anyone for designs or anything. Out of all the designs that fans made me and allowed me to use, once I did pay someone. I paid someone who was a professional designer to make me 5 different designs. And I put them on the site, and literally they never sold at all. The professional designs never sold one piece of merch. So I paid a good amount of money to a professional designer, and no one cared about that merch at all. They liked the fan-made designs. Anyway, so that I had for years, but once again, just like anything, like I said, after having it for many years of prominence, essentially, people forgot about it. I forgot about it, stopped talking about it, and it just sat there for like a year unused, and then they closed it on me, and come to find out, that was the same year, 3 years ago, when my trolls mass messaged everyone. They mass messaged Twitch, they mass messaged Teespring, they mass messaged other companies that I had dealings with this big like montage of hate against me, saying, oh, you see, this is who Phil is. He's a piece of shit. He's a scumbag. He said these things over the years, and this is who you want associated with your company. And keep in mind, 3 years ago is when cancel culture now was huge. So they basically all kicked me off of their sites, despite the fact that the stuff that they were looking at was like 10 years outdated. Like, imagine Teespring, knowing who I was, messages me in 2017 to say, do you want a merch store? Sure, we'll make it for you, and we'll even make the merch. Sure. 4 years later, they closed the store because they're not okay with things I did in 2010. You opened the store in 2017 for me. You were okay with it in 2017. 4 years later, you're not, and you punish me for your decision. That doesn't even make sense. But that's what I mean. All these companies have changed. They've all become these ultra-liberal, cancel culture, progressive fucking companies. God forbid that someone made a risque joke 13 fucking years ago. Oh, can't have them in our business, right? So it's pretty ridiculous. As of late, I could tell you this. There's one. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but a company reached out to me. They contacted me, just like Teespring had, and said, you know, we have a platform where you can sell merch and you can do other things with fans and stuff. And I said, the merch is what I'm interested in. Like, they offered other services as well. And I was like, those other services would probably work for other content creators, not much for me being a full-time live streamer, but I would be interested in the merch side of stuff, right? And I said, but I get the feeling, the fact that you are messaging me like this, you did no research on me at all. So I said to them, please research me and then get back to me if you want to do work. Because I tell you, I have an army of trolls who attack me on the internet and have defamed me and will basically do the same with this. And the representative, you know, contacted me again, was like, oh, your trolls can't be that bad. Don't worry about it. I said, dude, I'm just going to say this right up front. I am not going to do business with any company who's not going to research first and be lazy about it. Research me and get back to me. They never got back to me. There you go. So these companies, they just blanket message people without doing a lick of research to know who they are. What would have happened was I would have started working with this company. They probably would have opened a page for me. I would have had all this merch set up. And within a week, all my trolls would have mass messaged them with the same video clips from 2010 and previous. Oh, look at the horrible things DSP says in his videos every day. Oh, he's the king of hate. He's a racist and all of that. And then they would have just closed my page after all that work. So that's why I don't bother with it. These companies are so fucking stupid and lazy. They don't even do initial research. And then they just on a whim make these knee-jerk reactions to shit like trolling. They don't even fucking look into it and say, okay, maybe this is stupid and we don't listen to the dumb kids of the internet who are antisocial losers sitting on a computer harassing people all day. Maybe we listen to actual people who spend money, right? Because I know I haven't had merch now in 3 years. I bet right now if I came out with a line of merch, people would buy it. They'd be like, oh, we haven't had DSP merch in years. Let's get some stuff, right? I don't think it would be tons of stuff, but I'd probably make a few $100 here on it. And then having that line every once in a while, you want to get a gift or some collectible, you know? It would work, but no company is going to deal with trolls. They just don't want to deal with that liability. So to them, unless I'm going to be like a million seller and make them a ton of money, they're not going to deal with that shit. You see what I'm saying? So it's just not viable. I would need to find a company that doesn't listen to white noise bullshit. Who is that exactly, right? I don't know. I haven't found one yet. Oh, let's see here. All right, I'm just going to ignore this because this is just a stupid person. I'm just going to ignore them. So good. I'm glad I didn't read that out. All right, guys, we're coming to a close here. Does anyone have any final comments or anything else you'd like to discuss briefly before we adjourn the show and get set up for Fallout 4? Last chance if you'd like to ask a question or a contribution or anything. We had a good full show today of various different topics. So here's the funny part. Tommy says you need to find a right-wing company. I'm not right-wing. So I'm hated on the internet for nonsensical fucking reasons, right? And I'm not right-wing, which is why most people go to those. You know what I'm saying? I just... See, Felix the Maid, I don't know about that. He says the company LTG uses might not listen to white noise. He's been able to sell merch again. Now, why was he not able to sell merch for a time, which is what it sounds like you're saying? Why did that happen? I know he always sold things like jerseys and stuff, right? But to my knowledge, is this a company that just custom makes stuff per order, or does he have to mass buy shit and sell it? Because that's what I can't do. I don't have capital to put into mass producing merch first and then selling it. I have to have it be on demand. You know what I'm saying? No, Tango De Niro, thank you for his super chat. He says, happy Saturday. Thank you. Yeah. For the same thing that I went through. So basically, his trolls harassed the merch company he was working with as well. Is Snoutfoot a detractor name? I don't know. It could be. I have no. How would I know that? That's the thing. Like, I don't know. I don't pay attention, and you guys seriously don't. I guess a lot of people don't believe me. I don't pay any attention to detractor stuff at all. The only time I know about it is when you guys tell me about it, or just on a whim. I may be on YouTube, and sometimes stuff will show up as like related video nonsense, and if I see it, I just go, "Do not ever recommend again," and that's it. And I never see it ever again. I know nothing about any of it. I don't know what people are saying or doing. I always hear about that stuff from third parties, right? So very well, maybe there is a detractor named Snoutfoot. I wouldn't know, Nor do I really give a shit. It doesn't really affect me. I don't care about them. They're insignificant to me. Today we're gonna have a fun stream of Fallout 4. We're gonna hang out, have a good time, right? Good engagement, hopefully good support, and we continue on our merry way. I don't give a shit about what happens outside the stream. I shouldn't. All right? It's nothing to do with me. I don't care. Happy Star Wars Day to you, Iron Man the Power. My screen glitched. I'm finding more and more YouTube is just breaking apart. There was that super chat earlier from Big Boss, and it won't go away. I just refreshed the screen, and now it's gone. Stupid. Oh, yes. Kat and I celebrate Star Wars Day. I dress up in a full Wookiee costume, head to toe covered in fur. And, of course, she does the big Leia buns. We walk around the house looking like idiots. No, we don't do that. I'm just going to play Star Wars Battlefront tonight. That's how I'm going to celebrate Star Wars Day. Yes, Fallout 4 party begins soon. No, I can't do a chewy growl. I can't do that. Some people can do a really good one. I can't do it. George Lucas stole Star Wars to Disney. Did I know that? Yeah, that's why Luke Skywalker was replaced with Mickey Mouse. Donald Duck is now Han Solo. And Goofy is Jar Jar Binks, right? Right. When is the next big event? I think you mean, when is my next marathon? May 25th, PC Indies Marathon. People are currently in the process of nominating games for that event. Please do if you haven't. You can type !Indies into the chat. It brings up the link. If you aren't on chat, you can check out the community tab of this channel from a few days ago. There's a thread for it. The most nominated games will then be made into a poll in about 10 days or so that people will vote on for another week or so before the event. So please nominate games. What's my most controversial opinion? In gaming, I guess it's that I don't like rollback netcode. I think it's atrocious for the inputs it drops. But I guess a lot of people don't agree with me because, you know, the wool's been pulled over their eyes. I don't know what else to say. Do the Yoda impression? I'll do the Yoda impression tonight when I play Star Wars. There you go. Will I do a react video for the Borderlands movie if someone submits it to be reacted to? I have a react show literally every Sunday that's a clip show. Perfect show for someone to submit the Borderlands trailer for me to react to, but no one has. I'm just saying. Hint, hint. Joel says, concerning Helldivers 2 and the PSN controversy, does this put you off from playing it again in the near future? It doesn't affect me. I'm playing it on PSN regardless. I'm playing it on PS4. Or, excuse me, PS5, right? So that has nothing to do with me at all. I'll play it when I play it. I'm planning on playing it either Tuesday or Wednesday night this week. Don't know when. The Star Wars mega event tonight will be crazy. No. There'll be a few people there just to hang out. It's not serious. That game is terrible. It'll be just a funny mess around event for Star Wars. Not a big deal. What's the next big game I'm covering? You know, there really isn't anything considered big anymore. I hate to say it. Like, no games are considered big releases anymore. So, what you tell me. What's the next big release that I even could cover? You know, I've already told you what games are coming out. Here's literally what's coming out in the next couple of months. Ready? Hellblade 2, System Shock Remake, the Street Fighter 6 Akuma release and rebalance, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door Remake, Multiverses, Still Wakes the Deep, the Elden Ring DLC Shadows of the Erd Tree, Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble, Luigi's Mansion 2 Remake, Agatha Christie's ABC Murders, Black Myth Wukong, Star Wars Outlaws, Stalker 2, Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Do any of those sound like ginormous, huge AAA must-play games? Honestly? I mean, there's good games in there that I want to play, but does anything feel like, wow, that's the big game that everyone's looking forward to? I guess the Elden Ring DLC. That's about it, right? Like, there just aren't any big feeling games anymore. There just aren't. There just don't exist anymore. It's sad. It used to always be. Every quarter, there'd be 3-4 giant games everyone's hyped and looking forward to and playing and talking about. And sometimes they would suck, and sometimes they'd be good, but you'd always have them. You don't usually even have them anymore. They don't even exist. It's so weird. It really is. I mean, maybe in June, we're going to have the Xbox event, probably a Sony event, and probably Summer Games Fest. And maybe after that, then we'll know the bigger high priority games to be hyped for the rest of the year. But it's just so weird to me that there's like nothing going on anymore in the realm of gaming to talk about, right? I received a $6.66 tip from Rocky. That now becomes the biggest tip of the day. I guess it kicks the potential detractor name off the leaderboard. Thank you, Rocky. Oops. Which is up to $15 so far today. Thank you. And he says, happy Star Wars Day. I've always been more of a Star Trek nerd, so it's none of my business. Anyway, let's have a great Fallout stream today and clobber some rad roaches for fun. Is there a live long and prosper day for Star Wars fans? Because, you know, May the 4th, but is there a Star Trek day? Because I like Star Trek. Would I ever go back to Twitch? No, not permanently. If it was a temporary solution, because there was nothing else I could do for a temporary period of time, but I would never go back there full time. The only time ever that I would go back to Twitch full time is if they kick the fuck out of their management team out of there, and they have a whole 180 shift of philosophy of how they're going to run their business to be more professional. Then I would go over there. That would mean immediately upping their bitrate on their streams so people can actually stream 1080p 60 frames. No more cancel culture bullshit. No more ultra-liberal bullshit. I don't want fucking political judgments of how they're running a gaming streaming business. So I want all that shit gone. If that's gone, then I would consider going back. But it looks like that they are literally on the downward trend, and they're just doing nothing but getting worse and worse. So, no, I'm not planning on going back. Okay. All right, guys. I mean, we're going late here. Let's adjourn, shall we? Thank you for a chill podcast. Thanks for the fun. A little, like today was a random one, a little different topics. We talked about clothes sizes. We talked about music on YouTube. We talked about Helldivers controversy and how it tied to Street Fighter. I mean, a pretty random podcast today, right? But I had a good one. I hope you did too, and I hope to see you over on the Fallout 4 stream if you can make it. Thank you for being a great audience. Thank you for enjoying the show. Tomorrow we do it all again. So thanks very much, and I will see you then.